Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome back to the Pause Effect series of podcasts organized by the Indian Stammering Association. My name is Rusha, and I am a person who stammers, and I have gotten this opportunity to host this podcast with my dear friend Vidya. So, for those who are attending this podcast for the first time, the Pause Effect is actually a series of conversations where we delve deep into stammering, communication accessibility, ease, empowerment. And in fact, we seek to go beyond that to explore uh, uh, intersectionality, visibility, care, and understand barriers to holistically uh, uh, explore the experiences of a stammerer, as well as we look into the challenges that people who stammer pose to these barriers and uh, uh, empower themselves on a daily basis. Before we begin our podcast, I would quickly like to request everyone to please wait for your turn to speak whenever you have anything to say. We request everyone to not interrupt the speaker while they are speaking. If you have any burning thoughts, questions, or reflections, please make use of the chat box, or you can also raise your hand and wait for your turn. With that, I would like to hand this over to my friend Vidya. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rusha, for this lovely introduction. Hi, everyone. I am Vidya, and I'm a person who stammers, and I'm also hard of he- hearing. Uh, Today, we are joined by our very own dear Dr. Sachin, founder of the Indian Stammering Association and the author of Apna Hath Jagannath, a self-help manual for people who stammer, including its earlier versions uh, uh, and the latest 2024 version co-authored with Amit Bajaj. So Dr. Sachin, thank you for creating a space where we can understand stammering with curiosity and reflection and care. So today we are exploring, a thoughtful and a practical framework, which is 3ES model, which is education, ease, and I mean, empowerment. So let's start with the big picture here. So this 3E model is a simple structure, but it holds a lot of depth in it. So can you please help us understand what this model is really about and how it can help reframe the stammering experience?
Yeah. So let me first, good morning to everyone. Siddesh is here, Pramod is here, and all the friends are here, which is very encouraging, especially when you're talking about something so academic and so dense and so complex. But I'll try my best to make it, simpler. I'll try to bring it down to our level, people like me, the end users. So let us start with a very common example. India is full of diversity. There's a lot of diversity in cuisine. Maharashtra has got some very popular dishes. In Bengal, you get different kind of dishes. Punjab has got paratha. South India has got medu vada. But and I mean, preparing all these dishes require different kind of skills, different kind of ingredients, but they all provide us nutrition. And if you break down the nutrition, you come across three basic elements. That is protein, carbohydrates, and fat. These are the basic three things. Of course, there are other things also, but these three things are the things which give us maximum nutrition. So whether it's medu vada or whether it is fish curry and rice or whether it's Punjabi paratha or whether it's uh, khichdi in UP, they all provide us these three elements in different amounts or quantities, and sometimes in different combinations. So in the same way, there are different approaches to dealing with stammering. There is a precision fluency programs, then there is a fluency shaping techniques, then there's a stuttering modification, then there's hypnosis, there is this, that, everything. There are all kind of approaches to deal with stammering. But if you boil them down, if you study what has helped someone following a certain path, then you come down to these three elements that in some way it must have made his speech easy. It must have made it easier for him to move forward in spite of blocks. Or it must have educated him so much that he felt, he felt good about him. He was able to work with the anxiety and the depression which sometimes stammering causes. And the third element is that it must have been something which has empowered him so much that now he says, to hell with the world, I'll stammer. I will not change my stammering. There's a website, uh, I came across a website, it's called Did I Stutter? And there's one of the pages there has got a heading, How to Stammer More. How to stammer in your face. These are pretty bold ideas, and I'm sure that they must have benefited someone or the other. So, so, so all of us could be following different paths, different therapies. But if we have benefited by them, it can be sort of reduced to three dimensions. That is ease, education, empowerment. So whichever way you take, if it is makes talking a little bit easier, if it makes you more empowered, if you become more educated about why bilabial sounds are a problem for me, and if you educate yourself, okay, because of my anxiety and anticipation, I'm tensing my mouth and my lips stick together when I want to say my name starting with B. My name is Birender, so I say B, and then lips don't come apart, they stick. And that is why I go in a block. So even this kind of education, how the sounds are produced, how sounds are not produced, how sounds are made more difficult to produce. All this is very valid education for a stammerer. So if we are moving along these three dimensions, then we are getting somewhere, definitely. So this is the premise of the Supra model, that there could be different approaches, different therapies, some more successful, some less successful, some more commercialized, some less commercialized. There could be therapists, there could be self-help associations. So, but all of these are ultimately handing you something along these three dimensions. And so therefore, I think it's a important model. Of course, it is written for SLPs. If you go through the document, you will see here and there are headings like treatment planning. Of course, we are not planning treatment in TISA. This is the job of the therapist. So ideally, it is meant for therapists, but by extension, I think it is very relevant for us. So therefore, in TISA, we are trying to promote it. I was introduced to this article by Dr. Amit Bajaj, and then I said, and then as I went on going through this document, I realized that a lot of these things we have already practicing in TISA, but without knowing how this helps. And sometimes it's very important for the participant or for the member in TISA to understand, why am I doing voluntary stammering? How does it help me? Because when they don't understand this connection, then they have got a lot of resistance to doing voluntary stammering. And this I have seen myself in TOPG, that you can give as many lectures as you want to about voluntary stammering, but unless the guy is convinced and unless the connection is made that this is how voluntary stammering is helping me to regain the control in that moment, he's not really going to do it. So that's the whole idea, that for self-help associations, for therapists, for people working on their own in the self-help model, people going to a therapist, for all of us, it is important to understand how our progress is connected with these three dimensions of 3E. And then, of course, there are other things also, because these areas are overlapping: education, ease, and empowerment. That generates certain goals. competence, those things. Okay, I think I should stop now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sachin. So you spoke about, anticipation and anxiety. So for me, I know the tools and I can understand why what is happening in my speech, but still the anticipation is quite strong in some cases. So do you think 3E's model can help us stay in that moment with more inner awareness and ease rather than, fighting it? So how we can approach it with more awareness, basically? Yeah.
Very true. Very often we are stuck only at the level of techniques, that if I use this technique, I'll speak better. But that doesn't happen always. And because stammering has got a random neurobiological nature, it strikes randomly. You can never predict that today I'm going to stammer or today I won't stammer. And that nature has to be accepted, that this is something which has to be accepted. This is a given. And why should we accept it? Because if you move along the path of empowerment and education, you begin to understand that no technique or no speech-easy mechanism in your ear is going to remove that basic neurodiversity, that basic nature of our brain. And it is better to come to terms with that, accept it, and make sure that it doesn't constrain our behavior. So you understand that, okay, sometime I will stammer. Stammering is not such a big deal, but I will not allow my fears to stop me from raising my hand in the classroom and contribute my thought to the ongoing discussion. This is what ACT is all about. ACT is one of those third wave psychotherapies. In the first wave of psychotherapy, 60s, 70s, focus was on behavior. In the second wave, focus was on behavior as much as on the thought. In the second wave, people began to understand that we can modify our thoughts, we can change our thoughts. In the first wave, people believed that human thought is not accessible to a therapist. Sometimes it is not accessible even to the man himself who is thinking those thoughts. He's not aware. So therefore, you can only think of changing behavior. So behavioral psychology became very popular those days. Then in the second wave, they said, no, 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 thoughts are amenable to intervention. You can help a person think that his worrying about what is going to happen tomorrow is of no use, and it, in fact, is very harmful to him. You can change people's thought. And now in the third wave, the focus is on that you don't change thought, you don't engage with thought, you don't fight with the thought, you don't get into a fighting relationship with your anxiety or with your guilt, or you feel bad after stammering, so you start fighting with that. You don't fight with that. You separate yourself from those feelings and those thoughts, and you say, you can stay in your corner of the room and let me live in my corner of the room, and let me do the things which I want to do. So here, what you say, that you bring your behavior in alignment with your values. So if inside you genuinely feel that I'm a socially conscious person and therefore I must contribute my thought to a debate, you will raise your hand, you will stammer, and still you will contribute your thought to the discussion, because this behavior is in line with your value of who you think you are. You're not a coward. You're a normal, regular guy with some wonderful thoughts. And so, therefore, in the classroom, you raise your hand and say, "This is what I think." So, this is what ACT is all about, and this ACT is the third wave psychotherapy, and it relates very well with stammering, because we also talk about acceptance. Accept that you stammer, but don't accept poor communication, because that is amenable to your intervention. You can work on your communication, and communication is not only what you do verbally, it's your entire body, your body language, your eye contact. You also do it with signs, sign language, and you also do it in writing. You also do it with your presence. So therefore, in ACT, they say accept, okay, you will stammer, but commit to a course of action which is in line with your values. So that means that you will walk into the shopping mall, you will have a little bit of problem, but still you say, excuse me, give me that on that shelf. Because you are a person who is not going to get frightened and say to your wife or to your husband, go and buy this for me. You are going to do, you are going to fight your own battles. You are a person like that, so therefore you will communicate, you will live that kind of life. So this is what ACT is all about. And for us, for you, for us, for all of us, I'll say that now we all know that stammering is not cured. You can't cure the color of your pupils. You are born with your black eyes, so then you are born with the black eyes. If you are born with your brown eyes, cat-like eyes, okay, accept it. You can't change that. So in the same way, accept stammering, but keep on working on your communication. And working on your communication means using the techniques which makes it easy, little bit easy to speak, and which also makes it easy for the listener to listen to you, because it's a two-way street. It's a kind of, dance with a partner. So you have to be considerate towards that person also, and that person also has to be considerate to you. He or she should also wait for you to finish. He or she should also not interrupt when you are in a block, not hurry you, not guess what you're trying to say. So therefore, if you educate yourself along all these issues, a time will come when stammering will stop bothering you, and you will be ready to stand up for your rights as a person wanting to communicate with the other person. So this is what I will say to people, that if they think that I'm not able to use techniques even today, I have been in TISA for last 10 years. To them, I'll say, move along the other two dimensions, educate and empower. Educate yourself. Educate yourself as to the rights of you as a person communicating with another person. And also educate yourself as to what are this other person's duties, listener's duty. The listener is not supposed to interrupt, jump in, make a guess what you're trying to say. And if need be, educate that person that, look, I'm only stammering. I'm not I'm not trying to kill you. Have patience. Listen to me. What's the big hurry? Are you going to America? It's totally fine to, to bring the other person a few inches down to Mother Earth and educate them about their rights, and also be educated about our own duties. So that's the whole thing. So we should try to, move along all these three dimensions. Many of us in TISA think that I'll move along only one dimension, that is ease. I will learn techniques, talking will be easy, and then I'll be the wonderful orator. I'll go to Toastmaster, I'll be winning the zonal awards, the best speech, and then I'll do this and do that. That is somewhat immature, I will say.
Uh, Thank you, Dr. Sachin. And actually, I also feel like, I mean, educating ourselves about stammering, it's like knowing a new person, like, knowing a person with whom we are living, but then we don't actually interact with that person. So, like, education is something, it's like peeling the onion. Yeah. Thank you so much for talking about the importance of all the three aspects of stammering. So yeah, I mean, Rusha, I mean, over to you.
Yes. Hi, thank you so much for these absolutely amazing rundown of what the threes are, and how like anticipation and knowing the self is so important. Education is so important, and through education only, I guess we also learn about a lot of aspects of speaking. For instance, my question, we understand now that rather than fluency, spontaneity while speaking is something that really helps us reduce the negative impact of stammering, right? So my question is, how can someone start to trust and enjoy speaking more spontaneously rather than fluently, uh, even when the stammer is coming up? Like, how can the three E sort of make the mindset of the person into being more comfortable, uh like you know with spontaneity rather than forcing oneself into being fluent?
Yeah, that's a good question. One thing I would say that stammering is, part genetic, as we all know. There are genes which have been identified. Then there's the environmental factors and all those things. Growing up years, the kind of behavior which we received from other people, siblings, classmates, all those things are there. And then there's an element of a habit also. And element of habit is very, very important. It's very powerful. I mean, few days back I noticed when I was in Janskar, I was in a monastery where the internet connection was very poor, so I could not watch the news debate and all those things. I had gone totally off all that. So I used to go to the temple for 1 hour. I will be chanting and I'll be sitting there meditating or doing my jap or whatever. So when I came back to Harbatpur, uh, the very next day, around 9 a.m., I got this great urge to listen to national news, national debate, who is abusing whom, who wants to kill the other person. I said, what is this? Even after 3 months, that habit had not died. Mind was in a mind at 10 a.m. wanted that stimulation. That breakfast is not enough. I need something more. Body craves those chemicals which are released when you listen to these fiery debates where people are willing to tear each other apart. So I'm sharing this only to share to help you understand one point, that even after 3 months in a monastery, when I came back to home, suddenly my subconscious mind said, "Okay, why not put on some news? Find out what's happening." So body was craving those chemicals of dopamine or whatever, adrenaline or whatever. So in the same way, the way we have reacted to stammering and to people's reaction for last 10, 20, 15 years becomes burnt into our brain, gets ingrained into our brain. And so therefore uh, it will be difficult to step out of that so easily. It is not that you just do TOPG in 1 month and then you are free of that. It needs a lot of work and effort, and above all it requires a huge practice of mindfulness, because habits come in when you are not there, when you are absent. If you are present in every moment of your life, then these habits will become very weak very soon. You can give up these habits by becoming more mindful. And other thing which I want to say, that you will be totally spontaneous and you'll be dying to communicate if you've got something interesting to say. If you have written a poetry or a story, and if I invite you to come and share that, okay, authors will read their own story. That day you will be very spontaneous. You'll forget about you'll forget about techniques and you'll forget about stammering, because you're so caught up with your own words, the emotions behind those words, that you'll forget about using this technique or that technique. You will stammer, but certainly you'll communicate that day, and you'll communicate very spontaneously. So this is the thing which I sometimes encourage others also. Have something interesting to say. Have something in which you have got personal stake, and then talk about it. But unfortunately, many stammers don't have anything beyond their stammering to talk about. Ask them, what book have you read in last 6 months? They'll say, I've forgotten. I normally don't read books, but I read a book by Chetan Bhagat. What was the name? What was the story? Sorry. So they don't have anything worth talking about. So how will they become spontaneous? So these are the two things I will say. Become very mindful when you're practicing these techniques. And even when you're not practicing these techniques, challenge your thoughts. If you stammered and somebody smiled, challenge that thought. Maybe he's smiling about something else. Maybe he's a half-wit from a village who smiles all the time. Think about these things, And you'll discover that this habit of reacting in a particular way to your stammering and to people's reaction, which you have practiced last 10 years, will not hold that effect on you, will not hold that that control on you. So that is what I will say. Become more mindful and have a very interesting life so that you can talk about it. Write, sing, dance, paint, do whatever, and be ready to talk about that.
Thank you so much for this absolutely wonderful, like reflective answer. I think like a lot of things sort of like come out of this. Like something that really struck me is the idea of having a purpose while speaking. Like you can learn debate, you can learn speech and everything. Like there are several schools, uh, lessons and stuff. But like, what if I don't have anything to say? So like I feel like this is a very important thing that we do not discuss, but it is also something which is present in everyday life. Like purpose of speaking really like shapes how you talk in a certain way. So thank you so much for that. So my next
Uh,
question.
I I just
Yes.
want to add one more thing to that same idea. Some people may say, "What can I talk about? I've got only pain. People have laughed at me. People have bullied at me. My girlfriend ran away. My boyfriend ran away." They may have only pain and sorrow and suffering. Be ready to talk even about that, because our pain and our suffering can also have a educational value. In fact, I remember my earliest blog posting, they were all about these bad things in my life. And as I began writing about that, it served a purpose, because many people read that and they said, well, that happened to me also when I was 12. Can I write on your blog? And I'll say, happily, write your story also on my blog. And that is how our early TISA blog came into existence. So whatever you have got, pain, bitterness, whatever, talk about it. I wrote many stories also on. In fact, my wife used to say, "Why are your stories so dark?" And I used to say, "Kya karu main?" Whatever is inside is coming out. And it was all that played all that played a big role in my own healing. And so, therefore, people should be ready to talk whatever they are undergoing. If there's pain, let them talk about it. If there's misery, let them talk about it. They can use a literary technique or some creative expression to bring it out in a very beautiful form, beautiful way. They can do that. They can talk about it. Yeah, go to the next question. Sorry.
Yes, yes. So my question is that like empowerment, like is like one of the like three E's, and we understand it as a model which is not just about feeling but also about action. Like how can we turn the feeling of empowerment into actionable outcomes, right? So what are some ways that people who stammer can begin to feel empowered and execute that feeling of empowerment into actionable outcomes in their everyday decisions and actions that they take?
Yeah. I think that um, I studied a little bit about, in fact, a lot about depression and all that. In depression, the first step is behavioral activation. And then I later on, after my wife's death in last couple of years, when I also was undergoing depression, anxiety, all those things, bad things, I experimented on myself also, that in the morning there's no urge to get up. How do you motivate such a man who is just lying happily, who just turns sides, but has no intention of getting out of the bed? And then I kept on reading about all these things, and then I discovered a very simple thing. They said activation happens through action. If I can just get up and sit straight, I'll get a little bit of energy to stand up. If I stand up, I'll get a little bit of energy to walk to the kitchen. If I can take those 5 steps to the kitchen, I'll get the energy to make some coffee for myself. If I have done that, then I'll get enough energy to go for a walk in my village. And if I have walked Believe me, if you have walked 50 steps, you'll feel more energized. Juices are flowing, chemicals are being released in the brain. You are swelling, your eyes are catching all these wonderful things. There's a tea garden, sun is rising up on Chakrata Mountains, and then you got energy enough to walk 1,000 steps. And if you take 1,000 steps, then you got energy to take another 5,000 steps. And now in my morning walk itself, I am finishing my daily goal of 7,000 steps. So, so that Chinese saying is very correct. The big journey is journey of 1,000 steps, 1,000 miles begins with one step. So for stammerers also, the same funda applies that they have to take the first step of going to their SHG. Even if they don't open their mouth, they don't do anything, they simply sit there looking bored. If they take that one step, go to their SHG, then they will be granted more energy by whatever power there is for for stammerers. They'll get more energy to raise their hand and ask a question. If they do it, once, twice, then they'll get more energy. They'll be granted, more energy, more tranche of energy to, okay, now you conduct a session, and now they'll conduct a session. And before they know, they'll be the most popular person in their SHG, and somebody will say, why don't you become SHG coordinator? So this is the truth, that you have to take only the first step, one little step. So that is how you feel more active, more empowered. And this is something which many people who have suffered depression, they know this, that if they can somehow they can get up, get out of the bed, then rest of the day is no problem. Rest of the day is a big problem as long as they are lying down and thinking about it, just thinking.
Thank you so much for that. And yes, it is definitely like important to take the step in order to actually let the chain reaction sort of kick off, right? And like I think there's also an element of exposure therapy to to this, like just to like throw yourself into the situation to like make it happen, right? Thank you so much. So my next question is a little more like based on community. Like we understand that like easing into one's stammer, feeling empowered, also is not an isolated experience, but it happens with your environment, with the people around you, not just educating yourself, but also your family and friends. So I wanted to know your opinions on how can families and teachers also, like at school or at universities, how can families and educators create environments that uh, produce ease rather than pressure.
Very true, very true. I think we are totally a product of our environment. Um, our parents, our neighbors, our siblings, our teachers, our friends, they all contribute to who we are today. And I think people around us can do a great favor to us if they could imbue us with one quality, and that is courage. It could be the physical courage also of getting up at 4 a.m. and running 2 kilometers, 5 kilometers, or it could be courage of somebody in late 60s participating in a marathon race. My elder brother, he did that. He participated in this race for seniors. He got a certificate. So it could be physical courage, and as well as it could be kind of moral courage also. That father who knows that speaking truth at this moment can be devastating for my family, but for the sake of his children, to be a good role model, he speaks the truth and pays the price happily. So courage of moral courage, physical courage, in any sense. I mean, courage is a quality which all of us need, and stammerers particularly need. And people around us, we can find, because such kind of people are there around us. I remember many years ago when I was doing mountaineering training. We were up in beyond Uttarkashi on top of a glacier. It was like 15,000 feet. We were standing on ice. It was very cold. chilly wind was blowing. And one of our instructors, I never realized that he stammered because I never paid attention, and he didn't stammer also. But the thing was that day they were going to show to give us training on what to do when you fall in a crevasse. Crevasse is a kind of gap between two pieces of glacier. So he was going to teach us about how what to do when you fall in a crevasse, and God willing, you are still attached to your rope, to the belay rope. So we were all standing, 7, 8 of us. We were standing in front of him. He stood on top of a hillock, and he said, "Understand this. Ask me again. I sometimes speak rubbish. Ask me again how to tie this rope. Because once you once you are down inside that crevasse, then don't ask me. It will be end of story. Ask me now how to tie this knot and how to use this ice axe to come out of the crevasse. I talk funny, I know. Sometimes I talk funny, I know. But ask me again if you don't understand." So when he said that, I didn't smile or laugh because the context was, very different. All of us were under stress. But I made a note of that. I said, here is a man. I thought he was courageous only in the physical sense. He was one of our instructors who had climbed Everest, this, that, everything. Had been inside crevasse, fallen in crevasse, rescued. He had done every dangerous trick on the mountains in the Himalayas. So I thought his courage is all physical. But that day I realized his courage is moral too. He has got a moral courage also. He's talking about his speech. And so these kind of people are around us. You will find such teachers also. Not every teacher is like this, but among 10 teachers, you will find one teacher who will have the guts to speak the truth. And that is how he becomes your role model. So for stammerers also, we have got all such kind of examples all around us. And SSG is the place for that. In SSG, the SSG coordinator is supposed to take the first step. He's the one who is supposed to go to the shopping mall and say, भाई साहब ये टूथपेस्ट कितने का है? When he has done that, only then he should ask his his SHG member, now your turn. Now you come and find out the price of toothbrush. And many of us have done it. I mean, many SHG coordinators in TISA uh, are that material. They will always lead by example.
I just wanted to say, like, when I first went to my SG meeting, Vikas did that. Like, he went and stammered his way into, asking something to a shopkeeper. That really set the tone and really inspired others to, go and be more courageous in our stammering journey. Yeah, I can totally understand how we can get it from. Sorry, like, please continue.
Thank you so much for sharing your perspectives. Like these are valuable lessons with which we sort of like either begin or like continue in our journey. So thank you so much for that. Now over to Vidya for her last few questions.
Um, so, Dr. Sachin, th- uh, this model, can we use this model as a self-check or a self-reflection tool where we can, ask ourselves, like, what am I learning, or where do I need to feel stronger? Like kind of a journal prompts, can it be used in that way too?
Definitely, very much so. I mean, that is the whole idea behind this podcast, that all of us can actually use it, and we should use it to to find out in which area I am lagging behind. What are the activities which I can consider? So let me share my screen and show you the kind of thing which we can do with this model. So just give me 1 second. I'll share this. I'll share the screen. The screen. In this document, they have got all these activities listed, which we should consider if we are planning to help ourselves. For example, look at this page. Can you see this page? Can you see the
Yes,
page?
Dr. Sachin. Yes, we can see that.
Yeah. So in the under first heading, under first theme, education, see, these are the activities which we should be doing. And if we have not done it, we should start, slowly, slowly. For example, learn about the vocal mechanism and speech production. Nowadays, Chat GPT is such a useful tool. You can just, type in vocal mechanism and speech production, and it would give you, happily 7, 8 ideas to learn, new ideas to learn. Learn about the facts and science of stuttering, physiology, genetics. You can Google stuttering genes, and you will get a pretty good lowdown on all these ideas. What kind of genes are responsible? How do they contribute to development of neurodiverse brain, speech area in the brain? Learn about the experience of people. This, of course, we are doing in TISA quite a lot. Learn about different high-level communication skills. This is also we should be learning. Some people just want to learn how to speak fluently, but they could be talking all rubbish very fluently. So organization, how do you organize your thoughts? How do you organize your material? How do you present it? Pragmatics. Learn about the social model of disability. This also is a very important education for us, and how it relates to stuttering. Learn about the different speech therapies, speech therapy philosophies, fluency shaping, stuttering modification, avoidance reduction. All these are very empowering kind of education. If you learn these things, somehow you'll feel more in control. Learn about myths about stuttering. We know something about this. Learn about the latest stuttering research. This is very important. Learn about stuttering communities, self-help activities, and activism initiatives. Learn about the Americans with disabilities. This, of course, this paper has originated from America, so they're talking about ADA. But it's a good idea to explore and find out whether stammering is considered a disability in India or not. In the last census, did they ask questions about people who stammer or not? Learn about how the speech mechanism works. Is identify parameters of forward moving speech. These are important ideas like forward moving speech. By this, they simply mean that sometime when we stammer, because we are stuck in that moment, we keep going back to the previous sound. So, for example, if I'm stuck on acknowledgement, I'll speak like this. I received a acknowledgement from the post office. So I'm going back and back. Instead of that, if I have developed some ease with my stammering, we using some technique, I could simply move forward through the block, through the stammering. It could sound like I received from post office acknowledgement. So this is forward moving speech. Build awareness of speech behaviors like your secondary behavior which interfere with your communication. Understand secondary behaviors, show rate and build, slow rate and build in pauses. Empowerment. Empowerment, if you notice right at top is voluntary stuttering. Why is it empowering tool? Anyone wants to make a guess? Siddesh is here. Siddesh, why do you think voluntary stammering is a tool of empowerment? I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be interviewed here, but I thought let me check out Siddesh.
Like maybe sir, like by co- like constantly like stammering, like knowing that I'm stammering, I'm telling myself that it's okay to stammer and still continuing, because at that point the mind tells us that yeah, please stop, you are stammering a lot, but still continuing. In that way, telling to ourselves that no, I will like complete the sentence whatever happens.
Yes, yes, yes. To further refine this, I would say from childhood we have learned to believe that if I stammer, the sky is going to fall on my head, because that is how adults have behaved around us. What's the big hurry? Calm down. So because all those interruptions and unnecessary, unsolicited negative feedback, we have started to believe that stammering will disrupt my world. My world will come crashing down on me if I stammer in this office or in this presentation. But when you actually voluntarily stammer a little bit, if you say, good morning, everyone, I'm going to talk about active server pages, then your mind is convinced that, okay, I stammered on purpose and nothing happened. Nobody jumped on me, nobody tried to kill me, nobody abused me, nobody threw me out of the office. So this is how you convince your brain that stammering is only stammering. It is not end of the world. It's not a 8.8 Richter scale earthquake. So empowerment has got all these things. So voluntary stammering is there. Go on a stuttering outing. Advertising, self-disclosure, wonderful ideas. Educate others about stuttering. Stuttering. This also is a very, very valid point. More we talk about stuttering, even if we are doing it to educate others, it's helping us also. And definitely, TISA has helped me also tremendously. Participate in stuttering self-help support groups, advocate reduction / choosing to stutter, practice social pragmatic communication, small talk, networking. Small talk is another very important thing. When many of us have grown up hating small talk, because even in small talk we were stammering and people were smiling. And so a time came when we said, I will open my mouth only to say profound things, great truths. I will never open my mouth to talk about weather. But we forget that small talk is a very important part of social interaction. Using small talk, you you make the other person comfortable. You get your mouth system get it helps you to warm up your vocal cords when you do a little bit of small talk, and it's a kind of glue which connects people. If I say weather is lousy and the other person say, what? Weather is so wonderful. Immediately we disconnect. But if the other person says weather is lousy and I also agree and say, yeah, it's raining since morning, you can't do anything, then immediately a kind of friendship develops. So small talk is very important. We should develop it. We should cultivate it. In fact, we should have a NC totally about small talk. A session in NC where we should have a small talk competition. So, and the purpose of competition would be let us find out who can talk most inane, insignificant, meaningless things. He should be given a, or she should be given a reward. So these are the things which we can do under different headings, under education, under ease, and another thing which here also you can see suggested activities based on the 3 E's: educate, just listen, listen to stutter talk episode, interview another person who stutters, uh, uh, educate, empower, reflect on progress, identify 5 characteristics of yourself that aren't stuttering, self-disclosure, prompt, it's okay to stutter, identify celebrities who stutter. We are very fond of doing this. Ritik Roshan is our very popular go-to guy. Monitor a secondary behavior in target practice. Learn about Williams normal talking model. I don't know what this Williams talking normal talking model is, but lot of ideas are here. We can take each of these ideas and think how we can implement it in our life. And remember, don't be in a great hurry. Don't think that okay, I must finish 3 model in 1 month. No, give yourself a lot more time. Give it like 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and keep coming back to this chart and keep exploring these ideas. Okay, sorry, I think I've taken too much time. Back to Vidya.
Uh, Thank you, Dr. Sachin, for going through the paper and make us understand like how it can be used as a self-reflecting tool and what activities that we can do in reality. And also, I would like to say that volunteer stammering is also like reality check. Like we can, it get, it's just like an experimenting in a very casual way, and also very, I mean, reassuring ourselves like it's okay to stammer. So thank you so much, Dr. Sachin, on this. So now I would request audience to, yes, Dr. Sachin.
I just want to ask one question from Vidya and
Yes.
from Rusha also. You guys have been running this podcast for quite some time, and Vidya has been doing it even before this podcast. You were interviewing women in within TISA. So, how this initiative has helped you? Has it along this 3E model, has it made it easier for you to communicate? Has it educated you on different dimensions of stuttering from your guest, or has it made you more empowered? What's your take on this?
For me, obviously, it has really helped me to educate myself in a way. Like, there are, I mean, stammering is a varied experience. So I get to know a lot of stories. I get to know the emotional journey every person undergoes. So it kind of, and I am also trying to understand my place in, in what I can do to make my stammering experience even more positive experience. And also this gives me opportunity. For instance, when I started this podcast again, when me and Rusha started it, I was feeling the pressure, like huge anticipation was there. Anxiety also was there. But in the third episode, it gives me the chance to be more spontaneous and more. I can, Rusha can actually see that in this interview itself. So it gives us the opportunity to use techniques to be more, uh, more flexible in our techniques also. So yeah, and also when it comes to empowering, like these spaces do give us the opportunity to stammer freely. And also when we publicize, I mean, when we put it outside the world, I mean, outside in the world, like it gives us the space to be ourselves. So yeah, that's all from my side. Rusha.
Yeah, it's the same for me. Like I would say that I never, like, before I really had like bad experiences talking in public, and like also during like sessions and stuff, like, initiating a conversation, like I had difficult time. But like engaging in this podcast, like the first time when Vidya had asked me, like I was very nervous, like if I do the opening, if I mess it up, like I guess like I was worried about stuttering, but I was more worried about the thing about that you said, Dr. Sachin, ki we think about our stuttering so much that we forget everything else. What if I forget everything else and just think about my stuttering? But like then I realized that I am basically talking about stuttering, and I will be talking with people who stutter. So if I stutter, it doesn't matter. So that really gave me the empowerment to actually go into it, and it came from this education that I can do it, and like I knew my audience, I knew my speech, and I knew my subject. So yeah, that's from me.
Actually, actually, I knew the answer, but still, I wanted to, get it from straight from the horse's mouth, rather mare's mouth. And what I want to, highlight is that these dimensions are overlapping: ease, educate, empower, and there are many activities where if you take up those activities, they're helping you along all the three dimensions. Like if you coordinate a SHG meeting in your city, even if they're just two members, it will make you speak more, and after some time speaking will become easy. You'll be talking, teaching about techniques, so you are bound to learn some techniques. If nothing else, you'll at least you will start looking at people's eyes. You'll develop better eye contact because you are conducting SHG. You will smile and laugh about stammering. So easing, education, empowerment, all three will happening even if you're running a SHG, you are running a podcast, you are interviewing people who stammer. So all these activities are pretty holistic. So many people who are asking questions like this, I'm in TISA and I'm still stammering 5 years later. This is what I want to say to them. Take up all these challenges. They're holistic. They will empower you. They will help you to speak a lot more easily, and you'll become informed about so many ideas. Like last podcast with with Neena ji, some of the things which she said about a relationship were pretty profound. To me also they came as a as a fresh knowledge, fresh insight. Okay, thank you. We can have questions now.
So Vidya, can I go first? If uh, anybody are still thinking, Dr. Sachin, it's a pleasure to be listening to you. And the more we listen, the more, if we are listening to you for 1 hour, my questions will be for 1 hour. But I'll try to keep it for 2 to 2.5 minutes. In this three dimension that you spoke, education, ease, and empowerment. One of the things I have observed is that when you are confronted with people, as in I'm taking example of yours, okay. I have seen when I had come to Vanwadi, there were few participants who were stubborn about what speech practice or behavior they believed in. So they believed in therapy. They believed that it is important to cure stammering. It is important to fix this one. There was no conflict or any sort of friction from your end. So you were talking to them, but at the same time you were not really putting them down, nor were you promoting them. Okay, the conversation was uh, it was not about you versus them. It was not about your idea versus theirs. Is it because you were working in this 3D thing, unlike most of us who either say that, okay, if we are in TISA, if we believe in one particular thing, we believe in the concept of stammering needs to be accepted, it needs to be advocated. So any therapy is a friction to us. Any kind of a speech fixing becomes a friction to us. Is it you see this not as a me versus you, but as more about okay, I understand where you come from. Let me try to see where we have a common common ground, and what is it we are basically disagreeing.
Uh, Actually, sorry. In counseling, there's a very very well respected principle that a counselor's job is not to direct his client, but it's more to provide him different options and discuss each option with the client. If you did this, what would be the pros and cons? If you did that, what would be the pros and cons? And where do you think you are most comfortable? So the idea is this, that you offer all the ideas, you discuss them threadbare, and then you let the client choose his course of action. This is a very highly respected, principle in counseling, that counselor should never force one course of action or one idea on his client, because client has not come to that person for that kind of help. And because when if the counselor were to do that you better do this, then we will be undermining his autonomy, his sense of self-respect, self-worth. And there's another very practical fallout of that if things go wrong, he is going to come and grab you by the neck. You asked me to do this, and look where I stand today. This last was a little bit of joke, but the real thing is, in counseling, uh, what they call uh, regard for the client is a very important quality of counseling interaction, that I must have complete non-judgmental regard for the person. If the person is a commercial sex worker and says, comes and talks something which could offend my middle class sensibility, but I should suppress that sensibility and just accept that person, that he is living a life, he or she is living a life, she's taking her decisions. Who am I to judge that? So my job as a counselor is only to evaluate that idea with her and help her come up with her line of action, not my line of action for her. So that's the only thing. And second thing is this, that if somebody wants to go for therapy and not self-help, that is his well-considered decision. That is true for him or her. And I should not, try to change that. So therefore, I always say to them, find out all about your therapist. Find out what is the fee, whether he wants it as advance, whether he wants it in advance, the full amount, or whether he wants it per session basis. Work out all these kind of things. I mean, don't complain afterwards that he robbed me. So find out everything, talk to him and find out what is his approach, whether he'll be working on fluency shaping or whether he's working on stuttering modification, and whether he will help you to transfer the skills outside the clinic or not, whether he considers that his duty or not, because some Indian therapists don't have that concept of transfer outside the clinic. If you can speak fine in their clinic, they are happy, and from their side, they have done their job. So find out all these things, that what is his model, how does he want to work, and then go for therapy. And if you, for some reason, if you don't want to do that, then wholeheartedly go for self-help and then try these ideas. There's no point in forcing anybody for anything, because in any case, who is TISA? Who is TISA? Who am I to? How can I force anybody? You can't even make a child eat brinjal vegetables for lunch. You can't do that to a child. How can you do it to an adult stammerer? But you can work with them, you can educate them, you can share ideas, sometimes you can show them some example. Okay, voluntary stammering, this is what it looks like. And see, I was able to complete my sentence. That's all you can do. After that, it is for them to make up their mind. And that they will do in the light of their own life experiences and their life circumstances.
Got it, sir. Even if we don't consider the stammering part in this one, I think in our day-to-day interactions, we come across various situations where it becomes a me versus them. We may be debating about, like, we may be wanting the same thing. We may be intending to do the same thing, but it becomes me versus them. It's like two schools of philosophies. Both of them want to achieve universal peace, but I cannot tolerate your way of peace. You cannot tolerate my way of peace.
Yeah, that's the word. Okay, so now I just want to quickly show this little table, which I made with the help of ChatGPT, and in this I have tried to show which are how 3E themes are mapped onto different stuttering therapy approaches. So can everyone see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's
Yes,
visible.
sir.
So these are the approaches. Fluency shaping. Fluency shaping mostly helps ease of the speech. Stuttering modification works on ease plus empowerment. And as you know, stuttering modification is when you use prolongation or bouncing. So you say, my name is Satyendra. So you are moving forward, you are able to say your name, and at the same time you are feeling empowered that I stammered a little, but nobody bothered. And if somebody bothered, who cares? Why should I bother? So that is empowerment. Avoidance reduction therapy it mostly works on empowerment. That you stop avoiding activities and the roles which you have been avoiding because of stammering. You are doing your own shopping, you are raising your hands in the classroom and asking questions. When you start avoiding avoidance, then you become very empowered. CBT, ACT is acceptance commitment therapy, mindfulness approaches. All these are helping us through education and empowerment. Support groups like TISA, they strongly make you empowered. I mean, empowerment is their biggest element. Speech anatomy, myth busting, if you study all these things, you are getting educated about yourself. Voluntary stammering is an empowerment. So this is what I just wanted to show very quickly. The different approaches of therapy, they help us by working along these three lines.
Uh,
Okay, so I'll
Thank
just
you.
stop sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Th-
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Sachin. We can take one more question here. If
Yes.
anybody would like to ask, please come
Uh,
forward. Yeah.
uh, yeah. So, hello everyone. Uh, Hi Sachin sir. Yeah. So
Yes.
my question is that like so my Hindi is fine and sometime while speaking in English, so I my grammar isn't that good. So like so my native language is Kannada. So when I speak with a person who speaks Kannada, then I will be able to connect him fast compared to जब मैं हिंदी में बात करता हूँ मतलब थोड़ा ज्यादा टाइम लेता है उतना नहीं लेता so like so I started to think that so it's not always that the stuttering is coming in between because my language is not that good that's why I'm not able to connect and like in some situations like when I was doing a stranger talk in past so uh, always I used to think that because of me the person is not speaking more like so I used to start interacting but he was not responding much but now I started to see that like it just not about me the person is also not talking to me he's not interacting he,
Mm.
he also has some a fear while speaking so like how we can differentiate that like so it's not only the stuttering but because of maybe the other person the language the fear or your body language also at that moment that is contributing to the whole situation.
Um, Sohan, what you say is very correct because communication is influenced by many variables. The other person,
Okay.
maybe he doesn't have time. The other person,
Mm.
maybe his son is admitted in hospital. He's worried
Mm.
about
Yeah.
him. है ना? So
Yes.
he's not in the mood to talk to anybody. Or
Mm.
last time when he spoke to somebody, the other person abused him. So he's a little bit worried about strangers. He doesn't want to talk to them. So
Yeah. Yeah.
there are many factors. There are
Mm.
many factors. I mean, instead of analyzing all of those factors, you should simply leave this person alone and go and find somebody
Okay.
else. For example, if you are in a
Mhm.
park, if one person
Mm.
doesn't talk to you, stop thinking about him. Go and find somebody else
Okay.
and start with a small talk.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Or
Mm.
start with something which could be of interest to that person. For example,
Mm.
you could say, I'm doing a survey about the cleanliness of this park,
Mm.
and I have noticed that you come here every morning. How many
Okay.
mark will you give to the cleanliness of this park out of
Okay.
5? Make
Mm.
a find an excuse to talk to him. So,
Okay. Okay.
so find something which interests that person. Then that person
Mm.
will talk. But that person may still not talk to you if you've got some other inhibitions, some other factor inhibiting him. He may be short
Mm.
of time. He may be in a big hurry. All
Mm.
these
Yeah.
things are there. So don't worry about them. Pick up
Sure.
your conversation partners in some other way. You can
Mm.
talk
Yeah.
to a lot of people. There's a app called I can't recall the name of that app, but you pay a little bit of money, and then
Mm.
you have got a lot of people online with whom you can talk
Mm. Yeah.
in their language. So people
Uh,
use this app to learn new languages.
oh. Uh,
So, so,
okay. Sure.
so for example, if you're learning English, you can talk to somebody from Mizoram who doesn't know Hindi. So you have to speak to that person in English. If you want to learn Bangla, you can use this app. So that app will you will find many people who will be happy to talk to you because there's a purpose. They also want to learn your language.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, sir. So like basically, instead of just thinking that why is not talking to me, this and that, so just have to see if he is interested, or I can just find some other person. There are
Yeah.
so many people in this world to talk with.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Manohar, can you make your question short so that we can?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, Vidya. Hi, sir. Thank you. Namaste. So actually, uh, I want to ask about this, 3E model that you explained it. Uh, uh, Actually, is there any, uh, uh, the sequence to be, done? Like, followed in that 3E model, E should be the first, and, the empowerment should be at last, and education should be placed it in the middle.
No, no, no. All these things happen together. They're simultaneous.
Okay.
So you don't have to first approach education or ease or empower. Actually, just pick up any activity. And I think the best activity would be joining a self-help group or starting one. And if you can't start one, then you should join online activities.
Okay.
And doing any of these activities, running SHG, joining SHG, start attending Zoom calls, all this will help you along all the 3E. It will develop ease, education, empowerment, everything together. It happens together. It's only, for the sake of academic discussion and analysis, people divide these ideas into separate concepts.
Got it.
But in truth, they are one organic whole.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much for asking that question, and also thanks, Dr. Sachin, for answering it. And thanks to everybody who's part of this conversation, because the more and more we talk about this model, or more and more we talk about these kind of stammering experiences, when we we educate ourselves as a group of 20 people here, we are doing the exact thing what the 3 model is saying about. Thank you, Dr. Sachin. So, everyone, yeah. Rusha, you want to close it? Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here today. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for your absolutely amazing questions. And a special thanks to Dr. Sachin for uh, uh, joining us and taking us so seamlessly through this quite heavy concept, actually. So I think like this really sort of helps us sort of begin, those who are like starting out, to like begin their journey into like healing and like self realization and everything. So yes, uh today we will be wrapping it up here, and we will see you again in our next episode. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
guys. Thank you so much.
Everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.